Okay, Katie is saying that they use Twitter and Facebook for scheduling. And that with that, they can schedule for Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. But she's looking for something to catalog what they've done in the past and what's already made.
I think we're all in the same boat of.
Does anyone even use something they don't care for to recommend to others not to look into that one?
We're just using basic folders, basic online folders. And each of the contributors is keeping track of their own. So it's not very.
I know I've used a spreadsheet in the past that I try to keep updated, but I tend to go in spits and spurts with that to keep it updated what we've done in the past and what's going on.
We use a Google Doc for scheduling because we have multiple people posting. So we have a weekly Google Doc that people just put in there. And we have people assigned to different days. So, so in terms of not stepping on each other's toes for posting, a Google Doc has done the trick for us in that regards, but that doesn't really answer Katie's question about how to save the graphics once you've already done it.
I apologize. I hope everybody else could hear Heather. I just realized I had my volume all the way down. There's my doggy.
Oh, Kelly, I can't hear you now. I'm not sure if others can.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, sorry. I was trying to turn my volume up because I realized I had my volume turned all the way down because that's how I was doing the workout this morning and forgot to turn it back up. Okay, Deb is saying that she's been using later.com and it's been working well so far. And she's not sure of the cost. That's something I'll have to look into.
Deb, is Later a scheduling tool or what? Tell us more about what that is.
Deb is saying it's like a calendar. You can organize your posts all into it, and the link is in the chat if anyone's interested in learning more about it. And Katie's asking it, saying thank you and to Deb, and then also she's wondering if it handles the tracking of data.
Kelly, I just looked that up online and it says Later is the all-in-one social marketing platform for the top social networks. Plan, analyze, and publish your content in a few clicks. And you can create a free account. And it says no credit card required. My question to Deb, I guess, is can you create one account and multiple staff members use it.
We'll see about that. Deb does say it has an analytics section, and they're that she's learning more about it. And Kelly is saying that they use SynthShare for another nonprofit or another business she works for. So she doesn't know how it works for nonprofits though. Is that all, Kelly, is that also like can you schedule different platforms from that?
Yes. Yeah, it's commercial. And like I said, I'm using it for a commercial business, but it works pretty good. It's been around for a long time,
Okay.
but I've never seen it used for anything other than business.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And Deb is saying that they do have for later that they have a library account and that that the login is shared between multiple people, that same login info. Okay, well, if anyone has any other tips or tries out later and you know, loves it or hates it, let us know later, pun intended there. And you know, we can share that. So go on to the next topic we had was about outdoor digital signs. Does anyone have exterior digital signage at their library that do they find it helps? So the city of Southfield put up exterior digital sign probably about 4 or 5 years ago now when they redid the road that was right in front of City Hall and the library, and they put one up. It's controlled by the city, so like the library, we can submit things, but we have no control over it. But we do have a fair amount of people that'll come to like say our jazz and blues programs and say, hey, I saw it on the sign. So that's always good feedback.
Kelly, is that presenting visual or is it just text?
That one is just text only. You can get up to 2 lines of text. So it's trying to figure out what you want to say. You have to be incredibly precise.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Becky is saying at Orion, they got one a few years back, and a text only one that they send the updates to weekly.
Kelly, how much competition, how much do you have to compete with other city departments and getting your information up on that sign? That sounds really interesting. I don't know if anybody's been through Royal Oak, but we're undergoing this transformation. If you get over the vets problems, but we're building a park that's directly behind the library. And that to me would be a great addition to the city, not just the library, but the city itself. I'm just curious as to, I live in Southfield. I saw I know where that sign is.
Yep.
And I think it's a great idea. But I'm just curious as to how much competition you have getting your stuff with the other departments. And also, how do you manage who in your library is responsible for maintaining the information that gets sent and put out there?
So for us, we are a department of the city, and it's the city's communication department that manages the board. What we do is we send like 1 or 2 things that we want every month, and we just cross our fingers and hope it gets up there. And, you know, we never get back. We don't hear back whether it's getting up there. I know occasionally as I'm driving by, I'll see, you know, it up there. Like we only try for, you know, like right now we are saying sign up for summer library program, and that our jazz and blues concerts are coming back. So those were the 2 things. We try to do big things that will appeal to everybody. But like, we thought about putting it, you know, I think we're gonna try to add in that we're open for grab and go service, because that happened just last week, but like, we can't put in the details about like our hours or something, because people drive by too quickly, so. So, but as for competition, we don't control it. So we, you know, we just hope that we get in there, so. And let's see, we've got something. Deb is saying in the chat, going back to later.com, they're on the growth plan, which is just over $20 a month that they subscribe to. So that'd be about $250 a year about. So that's not too bad. If it could save you $250 worth of your own time, it could be well worth it. So does anyone else have any other thoughts on outdoor signage?
Kelly, we don't have a sign, a digital sign, but I know White Lake just built their new building a couple years ago, and they have a digital sign. So if and their, you know, their library is kind of off by itself, and I think the digital sign is right, kind of like as the driveway exits to the main road, which probably does. I live nearby, so I know the area. You know, it's not, you have to be going down that road if you're gonna see the sign. You know, it's like, you have to choose to go, you know, there's the, like the library, and there's a shopping area, but it's like off to the side. But if somebody had a question about a digital sign, that's a library that got one recently, and it's strictly their sign. So you might want to contact somebody there. Amy Rosen probably would be a good person to at least start with. We thought about it. Our previous board had a problem with even considering it, because some stores in the area have digital signs, and they said how bright they are at night, you know, and like gaudy and distracting, and they didn't even want to address it. But I think that they can be helpful, even if you share it with a, you know, like with the city, like Kelly does, you know, it sounds. So I know Clausen also shares it with the city, and the Clausen Library is right across the street from City Hall. So, you know, and theirs is just text, I think.
I would imagine that one benefit of a sign like that is that you have the potential to reach. So you're not, I feel like sometimes we're always preaching to the choir. A lot of our messaging reaches people who are already connected with the library because they signed up for our e-newsletter, or they're watching our social media, or so, you know, I'm trying to think about how do we reach the people who are not having the library front of mind. And Plymouth doesn't have an outdoor digital sign, but I think that would be potentially one of the benefits of it, is that you have the capacity to reach people who just don't even think about the library, and give them an in, you know.
Yeah, I like the idea of trying to reach those that aren't already in the building, and that would be a good way. Heather from White Lake did chime in that about who to contact. Their tech librarian, Maria, is the one that oversees it, so you could contact her. I do know, like, the sign that Southfield has is not a very bright sign. Like, it is lit up at night, but like, and the nearest neighbors are across the streets and down a little bit that live there. It's just businesses directly across. But I think like theirs is not an overly bright sign. So like, if Eddie will be interested, I can find out, you know, what sign company that is. But I know the librarian that asked me about this originally, they're from the Farmington Library, which, you know, they have that great location right on 12 Mile near Orchard Lake. So I think for them, it could be very effective, because they've got so many cars driving by there every day. And I'm just going through the chats here, catching up. And yeah, Becky is saying that they've got a lot of people that comment they've seen it and that they could post 6 to 7, short messages at a time. And she did post a picture of it in the chat here that you can download. All right. Anyone else have any other thoughts on digital signs? Yep. Katie wishes they were at a better location, but that's a bigger issue to change that one. All right. The next question I had was about what software do you use to create and edit videos? I'll pull it up. I'm going to pull up the email here to reread it and see if I can get a little more detail. Yeah. What applications or softwares are other folks using to create and edit videos for their library? This comes from Jill at Dearborn Heights. She's using Canva Pro to design her slides and edit the audio, and then imports them into the photo application and window to then adjust the intro and timing, or adjust the music and timing. And that works, but she's wondering if there's something out there better. And Philmora said that she just started to use video. I haven't done too many videos, but we've started to do a lot of, with the pandemic, we started to do online book chats. I've not used the software too much, but we're using a software called StreamYard. And it is very intuitive. And it's fairly cheap. I think it was about $200 for the year for a nonprofit rate. The only weird thing is that you don't have a login. You have to use a specific email to log in. So we had to create like an email for the library. It's StreamYard at Southfield Library, so we can log in using that and have more than one person being able to log in. That was our workaround to, instead of buying multiple licenses. And this is my doggy Midnight. And Katie's saying that for short videos on Instagram or Facebook, she uses the app directly and uses the stop motion, hyperlapse, or boomerang in addition to just using her phone camera for recording it. And Lumen 5, I've not heard of that. Becky, can you tell us more about that one? I've never heard of that software before, although it was presented at MLA.
Yeah, I personally haven't used it on our committee, but our director saw it at MLA and then sent it to us, and we have one person, he does it, but it's a subscription. We pay $19 a month, and we've used it a lot. But if you go to lumen5.com, you can see it, check it out, and he said it's super easy to use. It just seems to make our page more visible on social media with these cool videos.
Yeah, video.
I think you can create a free account first, but there's some limitations as far as like graphics and whatnot. So he did that first and created a few just to see if it was user friendly, and he really liked it. And we decided as a committee to try a subscription to it and use it and see how we do over a few months. And so we are paying for it now to get more or less limitations and more access to graphics and whatnot.
Becky, what library are you with?
Orion Township.
Okay.
I think we're all going to start following Orion Township now to check that out.
I'm just curious to see what kind of videos you're doing. We don't do much with videos.
Yeah,
and
go
I'd like
to
see some examples, you know?
Yeah, go to our Facebook page. They just did a bunch for summer reading kickoff week last week.
Okay, thanks.
And if you want to talk, I can connect you to James on our committee. He's really good at that.
And Katie just mentioned, and I agree, I've heard that too, that videos are getting more engagement than anything else on social media nowadays, that's the way to go. But I also very much agree with who has the time to do all this every day. I know I ventured into TikTok for the first time last week. I've only put up 2 so far. So I'm dipping my toes into that field of the video.
That's why I'd highly recommend a social media committee. It's really worked well at our library because me as the only marketing person just can't do all that. We have, I think, 6 of us on the committee, 2 of us lead it. James and I do the most, I would say, but we do have a few others, which really helps with people in the building at different times of day and weekends and nights. And because it could be a full-time job just to keep up on social media.
And now, like, what in your committee do you assign, like, hey, or people volunteer say, hey, I'll do the posts for this day, or I'll do this style of posts?
Yeah, we've kind of tried it a couple different ways. At first, we assigned everybody on the committee something, like one person does Instagram, one does video, one does Facebook. And then we ended up tweaking it for this year, and James and I do the majority of it. He's the video guy and I do all the Facebook posts for events, but he does other Facebook posts. I don't know, we do use TeamViewer to keep up with each other. When somebody's posting, they post on there that they're scheduling something, and we try to be aware of the scheduled posts so that we don't overlap with each other. We've kind of assigned every day that 10, 2, and 6 are the times if we are going to post that we do it. So before I post, I go look and make sure a librarian hasn't already scheduled something for a time. But James and I, as the heads of the committee, meet once a month to make a list of the kind of bigger things that we want to cover that month. And we split it up, like, here, you take these half, I'll take these half. So, it's every year it's been a little different, but it has helped because I know I couldn't do it all by myself.
That's a great suggestion, to have a committee for that, and, try to share the load, and hopefully, other people can enjoy it, find their niche that they enjoy and help. So,
well, and the creativity I find is great because, you kind of, as a single person, have your own way of doing things. So with social media, to mix it up, it's nice to get some other people's strengths and their creativity. And I feel like it gives us a really good variety on our posts. And I think you'll find there's people on your staffs that would love to do this. They can't do it full time either. So if they can just have a little piece of it and your director's okay with it, it's kind of nice.
yeah, we do that. We have one librarian that kind of specializes on our Instagram feed, Nicole, and she's great. And she's, comes up with stuff I would have never thought of, and I love it. Jill's saying that she posed the same question about the creating a video, editing video software that TLN adult lists serve. And other librarians there recommended iMovie, Camtasis, and Filmoria, which I have to admit, I have heard of 0 of those. But there
I
are.
think Kelly, she edited it down below to say it's Camtasia.
Oh, yes, thank you.
This is Becky again. Somebody asked if we post all the same content across media platforms. We do for Facebook and Instagram, and those are really the only 2 that we're doing. We found that with the committee, when we first started, we were trying to do too many platforms, and we felt that through just checking all the data that Facebook and Instagram seem to be the best and capture the most of our audience at this time. So we really just do those 2. And yes, our posts do go to both if they can. Instagram sometimes has limitations on the picture sizes and whatnot. But if you create it in the publishing tool in Facebook, you can check Instagram at the same time. It's really easy.
We've found that a lot of what we do in Canva, and then we resize, we use the Canva resize tools for different platforms, and we customize just a little bit in terms of, less text if there's, a URL or what have you, with the platforms that are image driven, maybe a little bit more in our, in the image on the Facebook So a lot of times, it's not always, but a lot of times we're using the same image and the same message across Facebook, Twitter, and Insta, but they're, just tweaked a little bit to fit how those tools work. That's not necessarily ideal because, we all know there's a different audience on those tools too, but a lot of the messages that we're putting out, we're just kind of using on all three platforms. And we also are just sticking a baby toe into TikTok right now. Our teen services librarian is started to investigate that a little bit, but just barely.
And then Jill mentioned that she had people recommend to her for video software, the Final Cut Pro and DaVinci Resolve, but those are people that are using that personally, not their libraries using that. Does anyone else have any other thoughts on software for video art creating and editing? Okay, so that's the end of the list of questions I had submitted to me ahead of time. So what thoughts, questions, concerns, ideas does everybody else have right now for the group?
I am curious. I missed last month, but the one prior, the fellow that was talking about thinking like a journalist, forgive me, I'm blanking on his name.
Jeff
Jeff,
Milo from Ferndale.
Jeff did a great presentation, and one of the things that he was talking a lot about is the frequency that he sends out press releases about things going on at the library. And it's a much higher frequency than we do here in Plymouth. And I'm just kind of curious about other libraries. And are you all sending out press releases to the media, your local media, about a lot of what you do, or is it just, big staff news and that? Or I'm just curious how often people are sending out press releases.
This is Becky at Orion. I only send out press releases for pretty big things. I do, sometimes I'll send a quick email to like our key journalists at the Lake Orion Review, if it's maybe a medium-sized thing, but the majority for press releases that go to my whole list, I just really do the big things. Otherwise, I think they just get lost. They're not going to look at them anyway.
At Southfield, we have two different media lists we use. We have the one list that has a few local newspapers and blogger. In that one, we send out basically everything to this program. This is a new database we've got, just, hey, check out our digital resources. And then we have one that for big programs we think we could possibly get, radio or TV coverage for in Detroit, that one we send to, but that one we probably send to 6 times a year. And, if we get anything on TV once a year, we feel lucky. So. And Katie is saying that she's interested. She'll put, our next question will be about reaching our non-users, and she's read that press releases aren't as important anymore, but that it's still important to know how to write one. And I think that is, and I think when you write it, you basically have to, when we send out, it's basically you want to have the article pre-written for the journalist. Here's your quote, here's your image, here's, the bulk of it, so they can either just run it wholesale or change it very minimally because they're so overloaded that the chance of getting press coverage improves greatly if you can basically give them a pre-written article.
And I think the local papers are using them. I think Free Press and News know we're going to get lost with the car companies and all the big stuff, but the community lifestyles, Lake Orion Review, even Oakland Press, they do use them. They respond to me when I talk to them. Yeah,
and I do get a nice feedback for counties that are in Oakland County. If you reach out to Oakland 115, or is it 155? It's one of the two. She, it's Crystal. She sends out an e-newsletter, has a Facebook page.
Yeah, it's Oakland County Times, right?
No,
Editor at oc115.com. Yeah, it's Crystal
Yep.
Fox. Yep.
Yep. And you can reach out to her directly if you've got something that you want highlighted, and she's great to respond, work with.
You know, another question is whether people are ever sending to the news outlets post-program, you know, sending pictures and what happened. It seems like a lot of times when people cover libraries, it's you know, look what they did, look what happened, rather than the pre-coverage. And I'm curious if anybody is doing that kind of thing.
And
I
that's,
know we're just tiptoeing back into in-person programming, but maybe thinking pre-COVID times.
yeah. I mean, I prefer to have the pre-coverage than the post-coverage, just to try to entice people in. I mean, post-coverage is nice. Hey, it gets the library in people's minds, you know, or, you know, hey, did you check out, you know, the classic libraries more than books, you know, article, which is always nice, just to try to, you know, keep the library in people's mindsets. But if I have a choice, I'd rather have the pre-coverage than the post. Yeah, and Heather said that post coverage is useful for like summer reading, where you can show the impact that you made on the community. And that is a good time for it. I know Katie had a question about, you know, the elusive reaching the non-users. And I will tell you, I can't report back yet, but what we did, we're doing something new in Southfield for the first time ever. We created an insert. It's a legal size insert, double-sided color, and it's going to go out in the Southfield Sun, which is the local C&G newspaper that is mailed to every household in Southfield and Lathrop Village. We just submitted that last week, Thursday. It's going out on June 27th inside the newspaper issue. And it's an ad. We paid about, it was $3,000 to print 30,000 of them, and 27,000 of them are going to be mailed out to households. So it was, you know, it's a pricey thing. We have one side is signing up for a summer reading program, and then the flip side is about our new grab and go service, which just opened up on this last Thursday. So I'll report back and let you know if we see a boost from that. Because that's our big try here to reach our non-users. Oh, thanks. I got my fingers crossed too, Jill, if this works, because it's definitely an experiment, but I'm hoping, you know, we get a nice boost from it. You know, both people hopping onto our website, getting library cards, and coming back into the library.
A couple of things that Plymouth has done over the last few years is we have had a booth at the farmers market, the Plymouth Farmers Market. We do that on Free Comic Book Day, where we're handing out comic books and in the process telling people about programs and whatnot. And we have done that for library card sign up, also using a remote iPad software. Less touch on that, but we've had a booth at our fall festival where we're, you know, spin the wheel and get a bookmark or a tchotchke kind of things, tell people about programming at that as well. So, you know, it's reaching the non-users, you know, just letting them know programming that's available at the library. So that's one thing that we've done.
Yeah, when you can reach out to people, you know, in person that aren't library users, that's always the best. I always love that light bulb moment when you can tell somebody something they could really use at the library. Like, you have that? That's always what makes it worthwhile. And thank you to Kelly. She gave a compliment about what we do here at Southfield with Library Aware, and that they're trying to implement it at Royal Oak. So good luck to you. And if I can give you tips or tricks, please let me know. So. And then Katie's got a question is if anyone has tried doing internet ads through the billboard companies that target zip codes or Google ads. So I guess none of us have delved too far into ads here. Anyone else have any other questions for the group? Okay, well, if nobody else has any other questions for the moment, I want to say a big thank you to Katie. She volunteered to do an Instagram learning session for us in the future. And she has a question, is there anything we specifically want to know about Instagram? I know one thing I'd like to know is just how to do those cool like graphics and images. Like, I mean, I could take a picture and post up to Instagram, but how do you get those cool effects that some people have on their posts? And Jill is curious about what are good times to post on Instagram? All right. Well, I will work with Katie and we'll let you know when that session is scheduled for, so you can pop on back then. If anyone else is willing to volunteer to do a learning session, you would have my utmost gratitude and help too, of course. And Heather is interested in knowing about the patrons who are using Instagram. Is it adults, teens? Who are we targeting? If not, we can sign off for the day and wish everybody luck with reopening, going, you know, it's messy going back into this, what our new normal was going to be. So, oh, and Deb wants to know about how libraries are using Insta stories or if they are using those. All right, Katie has a question. Anything else we'd like to know about Instagram?
Thanks, Kelly, for bringing us together, and Katie for grabbing the baton for the next one.
Yep. Thank you so much, everybody. I'll send out I'll post this up to you. We have our own YouTube channel now, so we're gonna post the recording up onto YouTube, and I will send out that link later today.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, all. Have a good week.
Have a great one.